What's up, everybody, and welcome to Double Dribble Zoomcast, episode number 5. This week's episode is entitled More Than Meets the Eye. This week, we got the one, the only Raby Red Mamba Hardaway chilling in the house. What's up, Big Raby? How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Dude, we're hanging in there, man. We appreciate you joining us. We also, as always, we got the coach, Don Werrick, down there on the side. Got the boss man, Ferran DC Dozier. We got G, A plus Asensio. I'm not going to point because they never go the right place in the recording. And of course, we got the one, the only, the Doc. Doc Shireen is in the house as well. What's up, Doc? How you doing?
What's up, guys? I'm excited for this. Robbie, I don't know you, and I'm excited to hear about your story.
So with that said, let's get that rolling. Let's get started. All right, Raby. First things first, if you want to give us a little bit of childhood, maybe just a little bit of background so we can get rolling and maybe jump off of that and see where we go. Who knows?
All right. Well, firstly, I'll kind of start with my name, actually, because a lot of people like to say Raby.
Okay.
But it's actually Robbie.
Robbie? Okay, I can remember that. My cousin's name is Robbie.
Yeah,
okay, got it.
I don't usually mind it. It's like, it looks, when you say it, it looks exactly how you're saying it.
It's all good.
I guess childhood-wise, I did go through that whole just Raby whole thing.
I hear you. I
used to get in trouble, actually, and I used to correct my teacher. And I would tell
That's actually really funny.
What parent would name their child a disease, and then I would
Raby, that's true.
get in trouble a little bit. But
don't feel bad. Measy had
childhood-wise, I grew up in LA.
Okay.
Single mother, and I had a younger brother also that lived with me with my mom. But I guess she was my mom was actually from Texas, so she moved out here. Her mom ended up going back to Texas, and then she kind of just started her life down here. So just from that, just being just one of those kids who just grew up in LA, did really good in school. Just really was really focused. My mom was very morally sound, so she just raised us, the best way she could. And I didn't really have such a tough childhood, other than financial struggles that we went through. But it wasn't anything that was so damaging in our mind frame to carry with us later on in the future. So it was just we're grateful for whatever we had. Whether we were in a two bedroom apartment or 1 bedroom apartment, I never really grew up just looking at things that I didn't have. It was just things that I could try to make better, and with my faith in God, just trying to just stay focused on doing exactly what I was supposed to do, to make sure my mom didn't have any issues with me or have any worries with that. So I was always looked at as like a goody two shoes kid. My mom used to always have me dressing in some type of ironed clothes. I mean, I was ironing my clothes too, so she had me ironing my clothes on Sundays for the whole freaking week, take hours, and I was always crispy clean at school somehow, some way. It was just just the little things like that, I guess, just prepped me for just how I carry myself, later on in life. And then how I can, help my son also, learn how to just carry himself, keep himself clean, things like that. But yeah, that's just really, my childhood was just mainly full of just, learning also how to be a young man also. And my mom, she kept me away from a lot of things that I could have been into, especially if she just let me just go do whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But she was very overprotective, quote unquote. That's what people used to say. And I didn't have my first birthday party or go out for my birthday until I was 17.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't like she was cooling me up in the house and was like, stay in that corner over there. It wasn't like that, but it was more so I got to go to the mall, got to go to a little dinner by myself with some friends when I was 17, but she just wanted to protect me and keep me away from things that I could have been into. So that's mainly my childhood, just really just sheltered in a sense, but taught a lot about the world, seeing how my mom went through struggles, but also, didn't let that affect me, but just try to motivate me. But I also, trying to learn how to be a young man without my dad being a major presence in my life. He's still alive. I still talk to him, but he wasn't that much of a major presence. So just trying to find father figures, trying to just learn how to carry myself as a young man. So
yeah, you said you had a brother. Are you the baby or are you the oldest?
Well, so on my mom's side, I have a younger brother. That's my main guy because we grew up, together. So that's my brother Remy. So he's younger than me, and I'm 4 or 5 years older than him.
Okay.
Then on my dad's side, on the other side, I have brothers and sisters. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like, if we count them all, I guess I'm kind of like in the middle, or towards the end part of it. But yeah.
Yeah.
Hey man, I had a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So where'd you find that love for basketball when you were growing up?
That's a very good question. Honestly, it just either it was two things. Either somebody turned on the TV and I just started watching basketball.
Lakers?
It was just my cousin and I used to go in the back of our apartment, and we would just go play basketball. And somehow, I know I was playing since I was 4, so somebody had to have put the ball in my hands and just told me how to shoot and whatever. But we used to go back there like religiously, and just we thought we were doing the most amazing stuff back there. Like, you probably would go back there. We go back in the past, and you were watching us. You probably wouldn't even understand why we were so excited and so
Right.
going crazy, thinking we were doing the best dunks.
The buzzer beaters.
Yeah,
Right.
it was crazy. But that's where a lot of my love came from, was just being able to, I guess, dream and imagine, what I could do if I was on a different level, or if I was playing against Kobe and Shaq. We would have a lot of those duels actually against Kobe and Shaq. And it's kind of weird thinking about it now. I'm like, how do we even do that?
All sports.
But that love is really what, the way we were practicing and imagining, and just being able to go out there and enjoy ourselves. That's kind of like where it started building from.
Got to jump on them dreams, right?
Yeah.
So we'll jump back to the LA thing really quick. You keep saying you're from LA. Was it, I don't want to say the bad part, was it the hood, or was it like just rural? What was it? Like, what area were you guys in?
I would say you could say it's the hood part. It's kind of like, it's where it was definitely on MLK.
Okay.
MLK Street, and I kind of get a picture of it. I know there's like the railroad, and then there's like a few churches, but it was like Vernon or something like that. So it was the hood area, but it wasn't like dangerous in a sense.
Okay. So it's kind of in between, like middle class, maybe.
And plus, my dad, he was very close to a lot of people around. My grandma was very close to people around. So it was like a lot of respect, from that sense. So it wasn't really anybody, approaching us in that sense. So it was, either I didn't see it growing up, but I mean, there was one instance where my mom did tell me when I was younger. I was probably like, I don't know, 6 months old, maybe 9 months, but they were driving around in the neighborhood or something, or coming back home, and I guess somebody shot their gun, and the bullet actually ended up stopping, like basically it hit our car, but it stopped where I can't even describe it, but where the seatbelt part is, but on the outside, where the door is, it stopped right at that door, and that's where I was basically.
Wow.
So it literally, the bullet it stopped right there. And so, that was something that my mom always told me about. That was just, amazing just to hear, God just being a protector even at that time. But, I guess just with that story, it's, you can kind of say basically it was definitely like in the hood part of it.
Yeah. Someone's definitely looking out for you.
Yeah.
You've already mentioned in not even 15 minutes we've been talking that you're very faithful, and you talk about going to church, being all preppy and clean. And did you go to a public school or a private school?
Went to a public school, Hawthorne. So I grew up in LA, but then it's kind of like I have 3 homes. So I grew up in LA. We ended up moving, and the majority of my childhood was spent in Hawthorne. Hawthorne, California. So just in that area, I went to Hawthorne Elementary School.
Okay.
I went to Hawthorne Middle School. And
Okay.
then I ended up going to Hawthorne Math and Science Academy for my first 2 years of high school.
That's pretty cool.
I went to Lawndale High School my last 2 years to play
I know
basketball.
where Lawndale is.
Yeah.
That's
So
really good things out there.
yeah, so I went to public high schools. Public schools up until my first 2 years of high school. So yeah.
Cool. Did you play throughout middle school, or did you start playing? You said you're playing young, but did you officially start playing until like middle school, high school? When did you start really getting into the game?
Well, my mom, she didn't have a lot of money to put out for us to go, for me to do like a lot of recreation type of things. So I started playing mainly like, I don't know if you know where Betty Ainsworth is.
No.
It's kind of like in the Inglewood area, but it's for recreation. So I started playing over there, like officially for YMCA League. So I just started playing in there, but I was always practicing and playing even before that. Then my elementary team, we had a team over there. And then my middle school team, I played for that one for my whole 3 years, and then moved on to high school. The only time I literally stopped playing basketball for an actual team was when I got to Hawthorne Math and Science Academy, because we didn't have a team there. And so that was my 9th and 10th grade. It was a college prep school. So they just happened to not have any type of basketball. And my plan was to walk all the way to Hawthorne High School, play for them, and then come all the way back, try to go to both schools basically, but it didn't work out at all. So
all right. It is what it is, man. Everybody takes different paths, You'd be surprised. Like you're talking about mom couldn't spend that much money. I was kind of in the same boat for the last couple of years, and I sent my son to the city league, like what you're talking about, $15, $30, you get a t-shirt and play against other people that paid $30 for a t-shirt, and that's it. You don't wear the fancy jerseys, you don't go to the fancy parks, but you're doing the exact same thing, and the kids love it, and that's what matters, Crazy. Speaking of kids, let's go fatherhood. You got a little dude, right?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. How old's your little guy?
You said how old is he?
Yeah.
He is 8 months with a 1-year-old body.
Oh, so you already got someone younger than yours now.
Yeah, you just had a baby.
Play date. There you go.
As soon as all this virus ends.
That's right. She's got a 1-year-old. So
that's crazy.
There you go. And then Ferran's grandson you guys can start your own little team. That's crazy. Fatherhood changed you, huh, Rab?
Yes, it does.
Can you explain how it changed you as a person?
Yeah, honestly, so before I would go back to like when I found out, that my wife was pregnant. I did cry a little bit when she told me, because it was just, it's just an amazing feeling. But even with that, she had a lot of issues with her ovaries. She had a lot of ovarian cysts going on. So we didn't even really know if she would even get pregnant. That's not something we were like super trying for, but we prayed about it. If it was going to happen, it was going to happen. Then just, she told me, and that was just very, very exciting. But I think even throughout the whole process of us seeing, her belly grow, it was like I was trying to hurry up and try to get things ready, especially because my mind frame went straight to like future wise. Like I need to prep, I need to make sure, we're good financially. And that's always kind of been a struggle of ours, is like just being consistent financially, because, you learn so many things on your own that you make a lot of mistakes. And we've been together for 10 years, and we've been together since our senior year of high school. So just going through little certain periods of our life. I mean, we've made a lot of mistakes, but we're trying to, fix them, of course, financially. But it was like a switch just came on. Like I have to make sure like there's no breaks in anything that we have going on in the future, because it really, my son is going to depend on us. That's that's a little life, that we have to make sure we protect and we nurture. So, as she barely kept growing, I just really tried my best to prep everything and make good decisions with people that I thought would, or connect with different people that I thought would kind of help me make that jump to where I needed to be, not just financially, but just in career wise. It didn't really work out as much as I thought. And a little bit after we had our child, you know, it was just a lot of, it was tough. It was really tough. We weren't really on one accord as we thought we were going to be. And I think that's always like, you don't learn that in a baby class. You know, they'll tell you like how to take care of your baby, but you're not ever going to be prepared. And it's crazy I'm even saying this because I didn't think I'd be saying this. Because it's like, you know, the older group will tell you like, you're not going to be prepared, you know, even if they tell you this and tell you that, you're just going to have to figure it out. And that's really, it's 100% true, like 1,000%. Like you're going to figure it out. And that's the craziest part, that, you know, for my wife and I to see each other grow up and to see where we are now, we're like, man, like we still say like we're parents, and she's done a really awesome job with him and to see her, you know, be a mom. And she didn't have a choice, like, to be a mom. She just snapped into it. Like as soon as he was out, she was just like there, you know. And that's that mommy nature, you know. And so as a dad, it was a little tough, you know, because I'm like, you know, what do I do? Like, you know, is he going to respond to me well? Is he going to, you know, just like,
We've been there.
Yeah, you know.
Trust me, everybody on here,
definitely,
with the exception of a few, they all have kids.
That was tough. That was really tough because I'm like, well, you know, initially we thought we were going to have a daughter. So when the doctor told us it was actually a boy, I was super excited. And, you know, fast forward when he's here, I'm like, well, man, like, do daughters just attach to their dads faster than the boys or what? You know, you know, he's smiling, but he's, you know, obviously, because you're a dad, like you're a new dad. So you're thinking things should be like, oh, you know, come here, dad, whatever.
It takes time, my brother. It takes time. Trust me.
Like that at all. So just with that, I went through that phase. And then the next phase was like, you know, he started reacting a lot more to me. And then I was able to really try to push through to understanding where I need to be as a dad, but as just, I guess, a provider, but also a husband too.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Like you can't just be one and then, you know, leave these other two behind. So with that being said, just a lot of manifestation of just, I guess, just growing over time to where I am now, where he's 8 months and I know how to interact with him. I know all his little cues, grow teeth, and still, you know, just working on the business side of it, just making sure that we're okay. But then COVID happened, so it's kind of like
nuts. No, it's nuts. I mean, you got, like I said, you got a bunch of dads on here and moms on here. Farhan, you had that dad smile throughout that whole speech. Do you have something you want to tell him? Maybe some advice or something you want to give?
No, me and Robbie we not brand new. So he and I have had some talks, especially when he had because my grandson's only a few months older than his son. So I just share with him what I learned as a dad way late. But my youngest daughter was that as parents, we have our concerns because of our life experiences and what happened to us. However, if you force your concerns and fears and all that stuff on your child, that's usually where you get the rebellion, because that's not their concerns for their life. So we have a concern for our child's life, and then that child has a concern for his life, and they don't usually match. And so I didn't figure that out to my youngest daughter with what stuff she was dealing with and some education that I took that showed me, like, you put your concerns aside and that child will teach you everything you need to know how to take care of him or her. And so I shared that with them, like, hey, this is how, there's no manual. I said, but this is what I learned, and it seemed to be effective. And so I passed that along to families, like, hey, that child has a concern for his life. And if you help him in those concerns, guess what? He's going to get his life together, and all the stuff you worried about is going to add up all inside of it. So everything's going to work out fine because you're helping them what matters to them. And a lot of times as parents, we don't think about that. We got to protect them. We're all trying to keep them safe. But that's what I shared that with them a while back. So it was like, nah, it's cool, because growing up with my dad, it was like before he passed, like all the stuff that I made up about him that wasn't the truth. You know, I was able to heal that and just saw Robbie saying, it's like, it's just life. It's just life, and your parents do the best they could with what they have. And if you see it from that perspective, then you you don't grow up with like, I was poor and I didn't have all this. It's like, no, that was just your life, and you get to like, work through that and create yourself. So
it's true.
Yeah, that's why I smile, because I'm no stranger to Robbie at all. So.
We appreciate that. Hey Doc, can you give us a mom's point of view on this real quick?
Definitely, I can address the mother-father bond, the daughter-father bond. So you're talking about like, oh, maybe, does it take a little bit longer for a son to bond with the father? I think definitely either way, whether the baby is a boy or a girl, during like that first year, it's all about mom. Everything's about mom.
Yeah.
Mom has the food, mom has, the comfort, the nurture. Like, that's how it's supposed to be. It's fine. Yeah. But once he gets a little bit older, then he's going to start coming to you, to teach him how to hoop and that stuff. So I was the boy of my family. My dad has 3 girls, and so I was the designated boy. I spent all my time with my dad, and that, like, my mom was always jealous of the relationship that I had with him. And I have 2 girls, so I think if I were to have a boy, he would probably definitely be a mama's boy. But girls, I think that they are a little closer to the dad. Boys, I think, go a little closer to the mom.
Yeah. That's cool. I love the fact that we got a couple different views here. I thought that was awesome. With that said, Robbie, how do you manage your parental and professional life?
Well, like I spoke about my wife earlier. She's very awesome in what she does. I mean, the amount of research that she does just to make sure she takes care of our baby boy is just really awesome. And it's more so like now she has like on different types of schedules, and as he grows, his sleep window widens to where, we're expecting him to go to sleep at his sleep routine at 7:30, but he tells us like, I think I'm gonna stay up till 10 p.m. tonight or 11 p.m. tonight. So little things like that, I've grown to where before when he was first born, I would get home a little bit late from my training sessions, and just work in general my whole day, and it would start like just from, I don't know, like I would have like a morning shift or something, and then I would have like an afternoon to evening. And so by the time I would get home, I'm already burnt out. I'm thinking I'm, just in my regular routine, just I want to go to sleep or, just relax. But then I'm like, oh, wait, we do have a child. So, in those first couple months, I had to learn how to try to be available as much as I could. But, right now it's like I'm more in a groove to where it's like if we have a schedule, and if I have a schedule, let's compare those schedules and then see where I can be available. And then I'm always worried about her energy level. So if she's a little bit tired from the night, if he was kind of, waking up throughout the night, then where can I help you at?
Exactly.
An hour and a half of sleep, or you want to go take a break. Then I don't have any issues now where I know how to entertain him, or just play with him. We'll watch a movie because he's very, 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 very attentive. He loves pets too, and he's starting to like Madagascar #2. So we play those movies on and off sometimes. We limit his TV time, of course, but it's like he's so much older now to the point where I could take him. I'll take him on a drive or something while she sleeps. So it's not hard at all, and it's mainly because of my wife and the way that she's able to do what she does with him. And honestly, if she wasn't here, I don't even know how I would even have taken care of him at all. Because firstly, he's a demanding boss baby, breastfeeding. Just
they all?
When he wants to eat, he wants to eat, and that's like all babies. But because he's primarily breastfed and he doesn't want to take a bottle, I can't even really feed him like that. So I feed him his solids, so he's cool with that. But solids aren't enough. He's like, all right, where's mom at?
My son was the same way.
Another deal. So when it comes to that part, I mean, there's nothing I can do. Like Miss Shireen said, there's nothing I can do in that sense. It's like it's mom or it's like nothing, and
give it time.
So I just do what I can. really. And as he gets older, I'm really looking forward to just being able to just, you know, have fun and just, you know, be able to do that part where I can literally take him for a whole 3 hours or something like that. You know, give her a whole break if she wants to, or go do your nails or something. And
take spa day.
Yeah, and we go train, because that's one thing with him too. I even train him now. We have little workouts throughout the week,
Good.
you know, certain days, and he's like, you know, having fun with it. So yeah, so it's really cool.
That's good that you do that, that you guys try to alternate. I mean, I'm divorced. However, when we were married, and even now when we're trying to co-parent, you got to try to even out your time as much as you can. But like the whole breastfed thing, dude, been there, done that. My son went for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So just give her what breaks you can, you know, as much as you can, even at night. Even if he is breastfeeding, at least get up and go get him so she doesn't have to, you know, alternate those times.
Yeah,
But it sounds like you're an awesome father, dude. So just from experience, my kid's almost 9. You know, keep up the good work. You're not going to be perfect. Remember, he's always watching you, and just go from there. All right.
Little eyes.
For sure. Hey, okay, so let's get into your coaching life. So you coach a girls team, right? From what I saw. Or do you coach both?
I'm not sure if I'm still going to coach. I'm not sure just yet, but I was coaching a young ladies team.
Okay, cool. What age group?
6th to 8th grade. So my age groups are always messed up. So I know they were like 12 to 14.
Okay.
We had more 12 to 13-year-olds.
Okay, been there, bro. Been there. I worked at after school program, and I had 25 students, 6th graders, 18 of which were 6th grade girls. So I hear you on that one, brother. It's not easy.
Also.
It's always an adventure, but it's fun.
It was.
So what did you, as an athlete, as a player, what did you bring to your team?
Well, because I'm also, you know, have my own business as a trainer, and I train for basketball and just for fitness, and also just like for sports performance, I was able to just really bring that whole aspect of just training to them. I would say 90% of them never had trained before, as far as like with a trainer, outside of coaching and just outside of just them playing. So I was able to help their parents and that athlete understand, you know, the importance of just, you know, getting better. Especially if you want your performance to improve, there's no way that you're going to be able to just practice for 2 hours or 3 hours in one whole week and then expect for your performance to get great. So I brought that aspect to them. And it wasn't even just about me, like, you know, oh, just train with me, but it was like, you know, if I know your habits, I know who you are, then I can actually see those things. Or if you want to train with someone else, I can, you know, tell them those things that you need help with. But overall, I try to really bring the character part of it, because I feel like with young people, even as I'm still young, I can still, and I'll always do this, even as I get older, I'll make sure I understand how I want it to be coached, or how I want it to be talked to, and how I saw things as a young man to older people who were talking to me, whether they were saying something bad or saying something good. And I'm always receptive to that or aware of that. So as I was talking to them, what I was trying to bring to them was the character part of it and how you approach the game. Now, because there's not a lot of teaching within coaching, especially like, let's just say if I go join a coaching staff, you know, 99% of the time, somebody's going to say, hey, you know, come under my wing. I want to teach you my stuff, you know, a lot of that. And it just depends on where you go. So it just didn't happen with me to where it was like, you know, let me teach you these things, or let me, you know, it didn't flow as much as I would have wanted it to in a professional manner, to where it was like, okay, you know, we're all on one accord. So it was more like me coming in there, who's this new dude, new coach, you know, we're about to test him a little bit, you know, and it wasn't as much respect. Now, if they were young men, it would have been respect constantly or quickly, because I would have been able to kind of, you know, deepen my voice a little bit, you know, or just be a little bit tougher on them, because it's like they're young men, you know, and I'm a male. So from the young women to a male perspective, that's where you have to be very careful, because, you know, in these day and time, you never know how someone is going to approach something, how someone is going to see certain things, what this other coach may say to them, if he curses at them or she curses at him. If I try to do that, let's just say, then all of a sudden it could be perceived in a different manner, right? Because it's just how they perceive you or how their relationship is with you. And that's kind of like what happened also at one point. And so I really tried to approach it as purely as possible, where you're going to make sure you respect me, make sure you understand how we're trying to play, and that teach them the overall game, you know. And I took it from an approach where if we all go into the gym and go play pickup ball, most of the time you're going to know how to play pickup ball, because you know you're going to set some screens, you know you're going to pass the ball, get open. You're not, I mean, you can, if you're a scorer, you're a scorer, but you know how to basically play the game.
Exactly.
And they didn't know, like, if you put them in a game situation, if it wasn't any referees or anything, they didn't know how to just approach the game and play the game. And that's what doesn't get taught, because that's the foundations and the fundamentals of just understanding how to play, you know, where the sideline is, like, out of bounds is. So I just tried to really teach them with the teaching approach and really stay calm with them. Also, at times where I would get irritated with them in the sense of just the coaching stuff, you know, just make sure they understood that you're not supposed to give up on yourself. You're not supposed to, you know, just let somebody beat you here, beat you that, blah, blah, blah. You know, so, and I also wasn't coaching by myself. There were also other coaches involved. So a lot of different philosophies, but I just tried to stay focused on who I am and what I approach the game with, and try to learn along the way, and also just connect with the kids. Like, I'm not going to sit there and just, you know, do a job just because, you know, I'm allowed to do this if I coach. You know, I'm not going to approach it to where they're just, you know, just people, just kids to me that I just got to coach, you know?
No, it's so true. You got to know your different personalities of each of your players, and you got to know how to approach certain players. Coach Don, after hearing him say that, is there any advice that you could possibly shoot him that maybe he didn't mention he does, or maybe you want to pass on to him?
I've been following him for a while, Robbie, and we always talk, and we've been talking for a little bit. He's doing a great job, and he focuses on the little details, which I really like, and especially at that level, because it's not a U ball, but it's something in the middle. So he really focuses on the fitness level and does a lot of drills that most trained coaches don't do, but should be doing, if that makes sense. So he's coming about it by a whole different aspect, and you know, he's doing it the right way, especially at that level. You know, at certain things at that level you can't do at high school or pro or whatever, but he's doing a great job. And you know, as long as his heart is to make the players the best they can be, that's all a coach could do. As long as you stick to that, it's about them, not you. So you know, he's doing a great job.
Appreciate it.
There you go. See, you got the voice of approval, Rob. All right. So we've done the dad thing, we've done the coaching thing. Let's hop onto the court a little bit. Before we jump onto the court itself, who was your sports hero growing up?
Kobe for sure.
Kobe?
Initially, it was Tracy McGrady.
Oh, I love Tracy.
But I never really got to see a lot of his character, like on and off the court. It was like Tracy, and then it was Penny Hardaway.
Oh, Penny.
So of course we got to see a lot of Penny because it was his commercials, you know. It was always just funny, but you know, Kobe was really like, you could see everything. You could see his success, and you see his downfall. So he was really just somebody like, you know, I didn't idolize him in the sense where he was like, you know, the top person I wanted to be like, because I knew, like, you know, I never met him. So I understood, like, you know, there could be a point where he could be a butthole to me if I ever met him, you know, and I don't want to get, you know, like offended because that's who he could have been, or that's who he could have been in that moment. I just looked at for who he is, for what he was on the court, and how he approached everything, even with his family, etc. And I love that. Like, that's something that he was a really big hero for me, just growing up.
So is that where the whole Red Mamba thing came out?
Yes, it is. And I don't know if you saw the Showtime documentary, but he explained basically how he became the Black Mamba. And it was basically during a dark time to where he was trying to get through all these issues that he was going through. And he had to mentally, like, lock himself into a different type of persona and this different mindset to where that next season he's just gonna kill everybody. Like he's not worried about anyone who's criticizing him or anything. So he just became something different, and I approached that with my life to where we all have gone through dark moments or moments where it was really tough to get through. It was really tough to get through a mental struggle, or just in general, you were going through financial struggles, whatever it was. And just not having my dad growing up, it wasn't easy to just talk to a male figure, to sit there and say, I'm feeling these type of things. I don't want to talk to my mom about it, but I'm feeling these type of things. My mom couldn't fully be both parents, be a male and a female, those type of roles that you want to have within a parenthood. She couldn't be those two things. So just all that stress, or all the different things that I would feel, just bringing home those things that I would go through in school, and then being able to have to bottle those up, even just praying or just reading my Bible, it wasn't fully enough sometimes, because I was young, so I wasn't understanding how to approach it in a different mindset. So I see Kobe, and I'm looking at him, K Cal 9, just going to work, and I would notice every single thing about his change in demeanor. I'm like, okay, he looks a little bit more focused today, or he's more bouncy today, or he looks like he's a little bothered, but he's trying to push through. Okay, how is he going to approach it if he's missing a bunch of shots? Mm-hmm. And it's just watching him grow from his 20 years being in the NBA, just being where he was. I don't think I've ever studied a person so much more than him. And that's where I kind of took it to be Red Mamba, was like, that's not necessarily my alter ego, but who I am on the court and who I had to learn how to become, and not just approach it in an arrogant manner where I just want to play angry. But I went through that whole phase, that whole journey, and that's it's more symbolism to me than anyone else, that, that's an ode to Kobe, but also at the same time, it's an ode to, it's a reflection of my journey, of where I came from. So. Wow.
All right, cool. So did that Mamba mentality, I didn't want to throw that out there, but the Mamba mentality, rest in peace, Kobe. Did that carry over to your post high school baller life, whether it was college, P4E, or any of the leagues that you jumped in?
To be honest, it did not. And it's kind of odd saying that, because it's like, how do you love Kobe so much, but then you don't carry the same mentality? I think that's also very mistaken as well, as a Mamba mentality, because everyone loves to just put that on themselves. Mm-hmm. But you don't understand, everyone has their own journey, has their own approach to how they go to work, how they perceive life. And me, it was more so about my purpose in life. Since I was a little kid, I felt like I was supposed to do something great. I still carry it to this day. That anything that wherever I am right now, there's something better I'm supposed to be doing, or something greater in the future. So I try to just prep for it, or that's just where my heart is set on. So just in high school, like I said, I didn't play high school ball right off the bat. And I know if I would have been even better towards my senior year. But that 9th and 10th grade year, didn't play ball at all. It was just more so just me practicing by myself. Wow. I never had a trainer also until I was till 2018, and that was literally 2 years ago. And I barely trained with him. But no one has ever taught me truly how to play ball. It was just me studying on my own, and just literally watching YouTube videos, and just constantly rehearsing it back in my head, and just going to go practice it on my own. So 9th and 10th grade year, there's no such thing as a Mamba mentality for me, because I'm not playing on a team, nor am I understanding what's going to happen. I don't know where I want to go. Mm-hmm. But I would say in my 11th grade year, once I transferred to public high school, that 11th grade year and my 12th grade year, I actually had to play center on my JV and varsity.
Okay.
So, I'm watching Kobe. I know who I'm supposed to be, a guard. I can play positions 1 through 3 initially when I first started, but then as a center now, I can understand how to box out. So I can actually, it's kind of like a Magic Johnson. He knows how to play each position. But I'm only playing a 5 and a 4 and a 5 in high school for 2 years. So I'm not training myself in dribbling. I'm not confident. So there's literally for my whole career in high school, there's no such thing as a Mamba mentality because I'm trying to figure out who the hell I am. You know, what is my role with playing basketball? And initially, that dream that I had when I was younger in the backyard, back in my apartment, playing basketball, imagining myself being in NBA, but also having a platform, that slowly like dispersed. That slowly started deteriorating because to get to high school, it's like completely different than I thought. You know, I'm thinking I'm just gonna be on a team. I just, you know, just keep rising, but it never happened. So it was just more so a mentality of like that love that I have for basketball, just and what it does for me as an outlet, but also what I would want it to do. I think I just kept that mentality to at least say, let me keep going. Let me keep trying to at least try my best to do whatever I can. And then also, the other part of the mentality was people, I didn't have a lot of support. You know, I didn't have a lot of people who looked at me and said like, you know, I wasn't a top recruiter or anything. So it was like, I get to a whole new high school and I'm trying out for the team. They're like, who the hell is this? So they gave me hell. You know, they gave me like, just like, you're going to have to really earn yourself on, earn your spot on here. So 11th and 12th grade year, that's just literally me just trying to prove myself, saying like, I can hang with you guys, even though I'm not trained and I don't know exactly what you guys know. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be a presence. So
sometimes that's better though, to prove yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so then they know.
Hey, Robbie, I wanted to touch on what you were saying about that. Two things. That Mamba mentality, right? And so, of course, you know, you look at Kobe's life, you look at his career, and I wouldn't say I was a fan of his, but what I did learn from the Bible perspectives of character, and it's like he talked about why do we like these athletes and like why do we follow, you know, these certain people, and it's really their discipline. And so people, you know, I like Kobe because of his discipline. And you know, so people are attracted to different athletes because they see that discipline that they want in themselves, and then you use that mentality to create it for yourself. So it's very important. I think now I'm 50, right? And I really just started looking at character like three years ago, right? And what it really means as far as having your character, which is your thoughts, your values, like all that part of life. But then you look at the athlete perspective, and it's like, you know, and I told the people on my show, like, whatever you saw in Kobe, right, whatever that mentality was, you got the same thing. You just have to figure out what's in you, apply that to yourself, and then you do what he did, and you pass that to a generation behind you. So you teach people how to, you know, because we all have courage. It may not be in the areas of life that we want them to be in, but we have courage, we have discipline. But I think that when we see those athletes, we like how, like even for LeBron James, like people don't care for him, but they like how his work ethic, you know, they look at all that part of it. So it's nothing wrong with having an athlete that you follow, but if that's that kind of character you want to be, like even in my advocacy work, they told me like, who would you pick? Like if I pick Martin Luther King, like his character, like for what that guy stood for his belief systems and things like that. I don't want to be Martin Luther King, but you can be that kind of person. And guess what? You start to behave like them. And then that's the part where you start to develop for yourself and figure out, like Robbie said, like, I don't have to be that guy all the time in certain situations, but you can pull from it whenever you need to. So that's true. And a lot of times we think, you know, I just like I said, I'm learning really what the value of having your character and and what that means as far as even people who perceive you, or it's not even your reputation, it's like your character. It's like, I'm sure none of us was out there rioting, you know, and looting and stuff like that. So, because that's not in our character, you know, so sometimes that's just people's character and where you develop it from. So I think that's really important, Robbie, for how you said that, as far as you don't have to have that mentality, you know, to live by all the time, but it's there when you need it.
And I think too, like from, like I have an issue this is my opinion, to where, you know, Nike really pushes LeBron James as like, you know, the kid from Akron, you know, and where he is now. But, you know, no matter how much you hope to be like LeBron James, let's just say if you're from Akron or you're from wherever, you know, you were in a situation like him, it's really, really, really tough to really sit there and say, like, I'm going to be exactly where he is now, you know? I think that's a big issue that celebrities don't understand, to change the way that they approach and how they're talking, because it's almost like some celebrities, not saying specifically LeBron James, but a lot of them bring people to themselves and they want them to be praised, because that's, if you're a celebrity, you got to be praised to stay at the top, right? If you don't have any praise to your name and, you know, attention to your name, then you're not going to be relevant. But the issue becomes where if you're going to be an example, you know, to the youth, you have to be able to say like a little bit more detail into like your journey, because that's a lot of money involved, you know. I love how LeBron James started his school, so now he can use that platform to say, okay, you know, education, you know, there's a different aspect that he can bring to the youth on that end. But think about how many other, you know, basketball players out there who are idolized, or, you know, who the youth look at, and then all of a sudden they're looking at like their money, and like you said, they'll go after and image themselves or model themselves after these people. And what you see now, especially social media, is like you see the good stuff, you see all the material items, you see the money part, and then you'll see charity, right? You'll see charity here and there. So, oh, yeah, that's a good person. And then you'll see, you know, some people will sit there and throw little stuff out like, oh yeah, I believe in God, you know, but thank God for this. But then you'll see, you know, on the other end, it's like, oh, like that's not really godly, but they're not really
yeah, partying, cheating, you know, doing all that craziness. Yeah,
they're not analyzing that. So
it's like Michael Jordan's when in his era. I want to be like Mike. Like you want to be like Mike, but you don't want to do the work that it took Mike to be like Mike. So it's a different. I want to be like Mike, like the successful part. But who was Mike? You know,
and now you get to see.
Exactly. And now maybe Kobe probably was like, I'm gonna be like Mike, and he actually went to work like that.
He literally did exactly what Mike did, and it's crazy.
Exactly.
Like, how did he model himself? Same demeanor. I'm like, but he spent time with him. So, I mean, even with the game, but I mean, on the character part of it, I'm not saying Kobe had a bad character or Jordan did, but there was obviously, we all saw certain things that could have been done better. So it's like, just kind of wrapping that up, it's like, you know, they need a more typical example, not saying just me, but just real life people, like how the disciples were. Those are real life people who followed Jesus, and they were able to talk to others about his walk, because he wasn't here anymore. But here, let me give you a model of how we're supposed to act like him or be like him. This is me as a human. I'm just like you. It's just more so me actually accepting this different type of walk now. So now you just got to walk it. We're still human. We have all of that. But LeBron James is a superhuman based off of ideology of how we look at him. There's no way we're going to have the stuff that he has. I'm not saying that we shouldn't hope to, but do we really need that? You know, I want a house. So I don't need a mansion. I just want a nice little house so my family can grow in that, and my son can say, you know, this is awesome. We had a lot of space, you know, but I'm not there yet. But I don't need a $500,000 house. I mean, there's Alabama right now, $150,000 house that looks like a freaking $500,000 house in California.
For real.
So it's true.
You know, it's perspective. It's different things out there that the youth aren't being able to see and understand, but then they just snap and just accept that reality, because there's no one else to tell them, hey, like there's you like you said, Karen, take some things from them, their discipline, but what about your walk? What about your purpose? What are you trying to do with your life? How do you get there? And then there goes, okay, what type of knowledge do you need to be successful? You know, there's plenty of people out there, and that comes with networking too. So, you know, if our older generation is able to pass more down to us, to where the younger generation can just understand and have more knowledge, you know, that's a big deal, because now you're seeing more successful people. And I guess, you know, it just depends on culture, it depends on race, maybe. That's another, you know, topic. But
society's view is rough, man, and it's not the truth, but it's society's point of view. And if you, like you said, if you don't have, you know, and I talked to the elder of my church this week, and he was saying the same thing with everything going on in the world right now. He's like, there was a generation break where we didn't pass that information down to the generation behind us. And so now we are trying to catch up and be like, no, let me see. And I looked at my life like, yeah, there's a part of my life that I didn't pass to my generation, to my daughters, what it was like. And I'm like, man, like, so I do feel a little responsible for this generation, because of, there are some things that we just need to continue to pass the foundation skills, right? Because now the streets are starting to raise, and the social media is raising children. So it's like, like, dang, how do we correct that? And that's why, you know, again, why the Orcas really came into existence for me, because it was like, okay, we can make these corrections. And you put guys like Robbie, like, that's the guy, that 7th grader, that 6th grader is gonna see that guy like, wow. Like, forget LeBron. Like, I could touch this guy. I could talk to this guy, which is a totally different space in a real life scenario, and which is different than you get from seeing LeBron James on TV, and then you turn it off and it's like, I'm back in my situation again. So, but I think we'll have that footprint where this next generation will be tangible, which is, I think, most important.
It's crazy you say that, because, you know, with everything that's going on right now, and literally there's riots everywhere. I'm in Norwalk, and it's boarded up like crazy over here. We haven't got nothing crazy, but it might happen. You never know. And that's because of like what you said, the generation skip. Robbie, I noticed on your Instagram that you had a quote. I love quotes. And I noticed you had a quote, and it said, you can't control the minutes you play, but you can control how you play the minutes you get. And that's not only, I think, good for the court, but just by meeting you and getting to know you, I think you carry that into your life as well. Can you explain that quote maybe just a little bit?
Yeah, actually, I even have that. So I know just by so a lot of my pro experience came from just analyzing a lot of other pros and being able to be around them and actually play against them. So I know just by the things that I've learned, that when let's just say there are practice players on NBA teams or pro teams, they get paid to, you know, practice with the main guys. So basically, if one of the main guys, you know, gets hurt or something, then obviously you're going to be the next person up, and you have to be prepared. And one of the podcast I was listening to was basically from one of the sports performance trainers. I don't know what team he's on, but basically he was saying how, you know, everyone works out, but a lot of times the ones who are preparing and that are not playing as much, the minutes, they still have to work just as hard as the main people, and they're probably even working even harder, even more diligent, because of the fact they have more time. So even on a game day, they know they're not going to play. They're getting their workout in. They're still having their same routine every single day, day in and day out, regardless of the minutes that they're getting. And I mean, you could sit there and say like, well, that's motivation because of the fact that they have money, they're getting paid for it. But then again, you still have on the other end where I've seen and gone to tryouts for different pro teams, overseas teams, and you see all these guys who have hopes to get on this team. And it's not likely that, obviously, not everyone's going to get on it. And there's probably only one person. He may have been recruited already. You just never know. But at the same time, everyone has been trying to prepare up until that moment, right? And I think that's kind of like the approach that we should have in life, is really what I'm trying to work on, is being consistent. And consistency literally means that you are going to wake up every single day knowing that you have a responsibility, but you're also held accountable for what you do, and who you are, especially around your family. So it's not about how many minutes that you may get, let's just say with my son, or how many minutes I may get with my wife, but the time that I did get, you know, did I make an impact to where they can sit there and comfortably know, like, oh yeah, that's my dad, or oh, that's my husband. Like, can you respect, did you leave them enough to respect you, I guess, in that sense? And even for a funny example, my wife sends me a list on my nightly duties. So she'll have Braden, you know, she'll go with him throughout the night and go sleep and all that. And I'll have my time, right? I'll be able to play the game. I just watch a movie, whatever it may be right now. But, you know, when I get to that point where it may be 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and I'm kind of like, all right, it's time to go to sleep, I forget, you know, there's my nightly duties. There's the kitchen. So my duty is make sure the kitchen is clean, make sure the living room is cool by the time they wake up in the morning so they can, you know, be in a clean environment. So if I'm not holding myself accountable, then the next morning, if I'm looking at my wife looking irritated, then whose fault is that? You know, that's my fault.
You don't want that.
It's my fault because I didn't utilize the minutes that I was supposed to utilize when I was supposed to. But also, it's just I need to make sure I'm staying consistent so that way it's perfectly fine. It may be one day I don't have to do it, but you know, if I just stay consistent, you know, she may just go, oh yeah, don't worry about that. You know, it's just little things that, you know, I guess within that quote you can kind of take out and, you know, twist or whatever. But I think it's just more so like just being consistent, being diligent. And then you have to have like a purpose behind it, because you can sit there and be a robot, you know, and just do something daily and day in and day out. And then over time, you just like, dang, what did I do with my time? You know, what did I do?
Where did it all go?
I've been there too. When I was working at Amazon, I'm like, man, like this is the same thing over and over and over again. I'm like, I can't, because I know I'm supposed to be doing something different, you know? And so I broke myself from that, and I ended up becoming a youth sports instructor and, you know, got into youth sports. So if I didn't do that, then I never would have found more opportunities and more of myself and what I wanted to do in my career. So
we see that you've jumped, you've taken opportunities numerous times from what I've seen, you know, from going to the P4E. Maybe you can let us know a little bit about that real quick. But you said you run your own business. Can you let us know about your business really fast?
Yeah, so it's called New Generation Athletics, and it's Aaron actually touched on it. So it's basically kind of like my idea is basically